Connor asked, what are my thoughts on all the firings that are happening around the country? Well, Connor, I'm not surprised by it. I think we saw it coming. Now, in one hand, you could say, boy, isn't it kind of ludicrous? You know, it's become very popular, and I'm not saying I disagree. It's become popular to say, if you're firing a guy in September, shouldn't you have fired him last year? Here's what that insinuates. It insinuates you have indecisiveness or maybe someone in a decision-making position that is ill-equipped to make the decisions. Ding, there you go. Okay, now you're starting to hit on something. My thoughts, Connor, are I wrote down a few things here. The job of college football head coach has never been more complex because there have never been this many layers. Transfer portal didn't exist 15 years ago. NIL didn't exist 10 years ago. You got all that to deal with now. You've got mental health issues that were not taken as serious as they are now. You're not an expert in any of that stuff, but you're leading an organization that has to be top-notch in how they handle those sorts of things. The job of head coach has never been more difficult, in my opinion. The money has never been greater. They're getting compensated, so I'm not trying to make you feel sorry for them. The money's never been greater. The job's never been harder. That means the expectation level amongst most fans has never been more warped, because the idea is if we pay them more, we magically just get to expect 140% of what they're capable of. And here's the kicker. There have never been fewer football-minded people in decision-making positions. This is the great, to me, overlooked aspect of what has changed in college athletics, football included, over the past, let's call it 10, 15, 20 years. This was not always the big money business that it is now. Running an athletic department was not always the big money enterprise that it is now. It was more cottage in nature. Now it is just what I said, an enterprise. Well, as a result, you used to just get a former coach to be your athletic director. That doesn't fly anymore. Gone are the days of the Barry Alvarez's all over the country. No, you get someone who is an expert in marketing or who cut their teeth in fundraising, and those are the folks that end up in the AD's chair. I don't have a problem with that. A lot of them are great people. I know many of them. But those are the ones making the hires. Here is the illusion that I used to be under until I got to see under the hood and I realized how this actually works. I used to think that everyone who was making hiring decisions was a genius. I used to think that everyone who was making a decision on whether to hire this coach or that coach, I used to think they had 47 computer screens in front of them and they had every bit of data available and they were making these sorts of high-level decisions that if I could see what went into them would make my head spin. It is a clown show sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes it is a clown show to see how it actually operates. Sometimes you get the right guy, sometimes you don't. But a lot of times, you never had the right people in the room making the decision to begin with. So let's walk back now, Connor, and let's ask ourselves, am I surprised with all these firings? Job's never been harder, the money's never been bigger, therefore the leash has never been shorter, and you've never had this many folks ill-equipped to make the hiring decisions. What would we expect, given the combination of those four things, all present in the room at the same time? It's a disaster. And I heard Brandon Walker say something the other day, and it sucks. I got to give him credit because he's right. Buyouts don't matter. Buyouts really don't matter. He's right about that. You see all these numbers and you think, oh, they'll never pay that. They'll never pay. Yeah, they will. That money's not real to them because it's not their money. It's the money of some dude who became a billionaire off of gas stations or became a billionaire off a trucking company or a lumber distributor. That stuff is a rounding error to them, especially when you have two or three of them in the room at the same time and they take immense pride in that football program. These buyout numbers, they don't matter. They're not real. $20 million to you and I, it's real. That's not real in that world. They'll pay whatever it takes and then some. So I say all that to say it's going to continue. And I don't think you're going to see a radical shift in the kinds of decision makers we have in the room. If anything, I think you're seeing the sport shift more away from filling the athletic department with football-minded people and filling it more with business-minded people. Again, nothing wrong with having those folks in the room. They are not the ones best equipped to make football hires. So a lot of times you get the wrong guy in there and you don't know it yet. and you're paying them a ton of money, you're overpaying them, and you don't know it. And by the time you realize it, it's too late. And then you have to make a decision, and you get convinced because you're ill-equipped to know otherwise. Let's give them one more year. Well, then they start off 1 and 2, and no, time to pull the lever when you could have had an 8-month head start on it if you made the decision in January. All that's stupid to watch happen, and it is. It's very stupid, but it's going to continue to happen, Connor. So nothing you and I can do about it. I'll just do a segment on it and get our little 15,000 views, and that'll be how we handle it. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Make sure you like the video, and please subscribe to the channel. Not just for me. That's how we keep this entire thing free.